This live martial arts class, we're talking about how to use a staff. In this case, in this video, we're going to talk about both size staffs, the long staff, the bow, or a little bit shorter, the Joe. We're going to use the one there in the back. How to use a staff in a fight for self-defense. This isn't to go out and pick a fight with somebody. This is to defend yourself. But you're going to start with your staff. You're going to hold it in one hand. We're turning from side to side. Now I was rewatching Coming to America, because Coming to America 2 is coming out, and I think they're going to release it directly to a streaming service or whatever. But you know, when I was younger, I loved that movie Coming to America, and it's because you're watching that movie and Eddie Murphy's talking to the girl, and Samuel L. Jackson busts into the McDonald's, the knockoff McDonald's. It's called the Unhappy Meal scene. I don't know if you've seen it. You can Google it. If you've never seen Coming to America, you're really missing a funny movie. Anyway, I must have seen that movie 100 times when I was younger and over the years, because it's always in reruns. But there's that scene, good morning, and Eddie Murphy's sitting in the booth, or he's sitting at the table, he's talking to the girl, he's minding his own business. Samuel L. Jackson busts in, he's carrying a big shotgun, he's screaming, he's yelling, he's giving orders. Arsenio Hall is just standing behind the counter, doesn't flinch. Eddie Murphy doesn't flinch. That's martial arts for you, right? They're trained in the Wakandan martial arts of whatever, Wakanda, which isn't really a real place. I think it's kind of a bug or something, a cricket. But Wakanda, Eddie Murphy, Wakanda was like the first, was a Black Panther place, right? It was the first mythical in a movie portrayed where you had these great kings, African kings and princes. Eddie Murphy's a prince, and he's doing this. He has a whole fight scene with Arsenio Hall, who's trying to convince him that he's got a bad idea, and Eddie Murphy won't be shaken. So they got to fight it out, and they go mano-y-mano with a bow, with a martial arts staff. And Arsenio Hall's walking around doing very poorly. He's an actor. He's not a martial artist, but very poorly he's doing that skip, catch, bow spin. I'll show you how to do that right, by the way. This will be part of your warm-up. This is what it should look like. It's a butterfly spin, basically. Anyway, so he's spinning as they start this fight, and Eddie Murphy's just standing there just waiting, which is how you defend yourself in a fight. If you need to use a martial arts staff for self-defense, especially if they have something like a knife, which can cut you, slice you, could hurt you really bad. Self-defense against a knife, or an attacker with a knife is about this long. You've got a good 6 feet reach advantage. You always want to use the reach. Thank you, I appreciate that, Idris. So you're going to turn this back and forth first, but over, he's walking around, Arsenio Hall's walking around, he's spinning, which is never a good idea. You don't spin in a fight. You always stand your ground, you wait, you're prepared. Then you strike, smash, defend yourself. We're going to talk about how to do all those basic things with the longer staff, and then in the scene, the Unhappy Meal scene with Samuel L. Jackson, Eddie Murphy's just standing there. You got to get the right size. But he reaches down, he's sitting there. He doesn't lose his cool, that's martial arts. He's focused, that's martial arts. He makes a plan, he's prepared so he doesn't have to panic, that's martial arts. And I'm not advocating this, by the way. The guy's got the shotgun, I'm not saying fight him with your stick. But this is a movie, and it's fun to think about. And he's sitting there, and he reaches down, he picks up his mop. He'd been mopping the restaurant, and then he unscrews it, which is how a lot of us get started with our love of the martial arts staff. You have something like a mop handle or a broom handle, and that's how we get started. We start doing this one. Yeah, we're going to work on some new ones today. We're talking specifically about this position. So he walks up in the movie, Coming to America, Samuel L. Jackson, bad guy with the gun, Eddie Murphy standing there, Prince Akeem, and he just holds it like this, and the other guy's got the weapon like that, and from this position, leaning to the side, he just brings it straight up. And that's what I like so much about a martial arts staff. Martial arts staff is supposed to be basic and simple, but explosive, immediate, and direct. So from here, if you're behind your weapon, and here's the threat, you have two hands on it like he did in the movie, Eddie Murphy did in the movie, you just bring it straight up. Imagine that I'm going to turn so you can see, I'm going to say that's the groin instead of the gun. Guy's got a knife, right? Straight up, right between the legs. From here, you can bring it across this way, bring it across this way. Bring it up, straight in. You can bring it into a different hand position, strike, strike, all those things, but immediate direct explosive, the fastest way is the way that works. So from here, between you, the guy's getting more aggressive, just very quickly, very explosively, pulling down, pushing up on the backhand. Merry Christmas to everybody. Family's doing great, Adrish, thanks for asking. Hope your family's great. Just straight up, and then in, and then coming down, and then your hands will slide on the staff. And that's what we're gonna work on in this training, how to fight with a staff, or how to use a staff in a fight for self-defense. This is always for self-defense. So you've warmed up with this motion, warmed up side to side. We're not doing a lot of spinning in this workout. I want to talk immediately about reach advantage. We're going to go back to the longer staff, the bow. Koreans call this the jangbong. They all mean the same thing. It's a long stick, long martial arts staff. It could be the Indian Silambam style, or like Prince Akeem and Arsenio Hall, you could be from, Rwanda. That's machetes, sadly. We're talking about Wakanda, right? The mythical place, not a real place. But the idea is, you've got a big piece of wood in your hand. This is hard wood. This is red oak. There's a link below if you're looking for any of that. Yeah, we'll talk about footwork. More importantly, we'll talk about how to move your feet. And not, because I don't want you to think footwork like a boxer. Like there's specific footwork for boxing, right? There's certain steps that you have to master. You don't have to master a lot of steps. And for self-defense, I don't want you to get focused on the wrong part of your body. Don't think too much about your feet. Practice it, train with it, but it's not like the katana or the Japanese sword where you have to have exceptional footwork. You just have to have good footing, which means not too wide and never crossed. Don't ever cross your feet. So as long as your feet are under your body, one foot's in front of the other one, which makes you a smaller target, which makes you a harder target to hit all the bony parts of your body. And in this case, when you have a staff in your hand, they come between you and the threat. And then if they've got a knife, the wood doesn't bleed, the stick doesn't bleed. So you'd rather have them hit that knife, keep them as far away as you can, right? I'm disappearing off the screen because this is such a long weapon with so many practical basic strikes that you're gonna learn right now. So the first thing is stand behind the weapon, put the weapon between you and the attack, whether it's multiple attackers, someone with a knife, a bigger opponent. If it's a vicious attack, you want this to have someone grab your staff. We'll talk about that. You want to have this between you and the threat, and then simply point your thumb at the threat. And the first strike that I want you to practice is a thrust. From here, thrust, pushing straight forward. Now, someone grabs your staff on the thrust, they might be able to stop it a little bit, but not a lot. They might also be pulling. And anytime someone grabs the end of your staff when you're defending yourself, because we're talking about this first thrusting motion, that's where they're gonna grab it. As it's coming in, you're going to twist. And when you twist, you're making a circling motion like this. Now, because they're trying to pull it out of your hands, their power is going this way. So you're gonna push in and twist. And what's gonna happen is their hands, and I wish I had someone to show you, but they don't, their hands are gonna go like this, and they're gonna go into a compromised position. You're gonna be in the power position. You're gonna twist and then thrust again. Twist and thrust. Then, once they let go of your staff, for self-defense, strike them with it. Either with this end or sliding through and hitting on the back end. We can talk about that in a second too. But for review, number one, like your Eddie Murphy, Prince Akeem in the movie Coming to America, and I'm hoping Coming to America 2, which is coming out soon, I'm hoping that has another bow staff fighting scene in it. And maybe instead of a mop, this time he'll have a different kind of staff. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a hiking stick or a walking stick, something he brought with him from the mythical place of Wakanda. So from here, I'm gonna push and strike. Push and strike. As simple as that. From here, thrust, strike. Thrust and strike. You want to do 2 strikes at a time. 2 is better than 1. And then you want to do 3 instead of 2 at a time if you can. We call that combination strikes. So combination strikes with your staff. Start with the thrust, come with that vertical strike down on top, and then come through with a diagonal strike. Think of hitting temple, think of hitting neck, think of hitting clavicle. Yeah, Adrish, but if I respond to every single one of your comments, then I wouldn't be able to get it done. No offense. And no offense, I'm not offended. I'm trying to respond. So you know, yes, I'm seeing your comments. From here, thrust, strike down on top, strike here. And now I want you to use 4th striking combination. The backhand slicing through, right through the middle. That doesn't mean I don't want you to make a comment. I'm just saying I'm not going to respond to every one. But please, put the comments in there and I'll try to get to them when I can. From here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And by practicing those combinations, you're now practicing 4 different strikes. So from here, you have a straight thrust. And I always like the thrust first if you can make it work. And you're going to change it depending on what your targets are. What targets you're trying to hit, destroy, remove, incapacitate, the violent attack. This is all self-defense. So this is how to use your bow staff in a self-defense situation, right? Multiple attackers, more than one person. You can thrust here. There's one back here. There's a back thrust. You can turn, strike that guy, come through his chin, down here, swinging through, and you'll be very fast. But I want you to be instinctive about it. I don't want you to have to say, well, I didn't practice this particular combination, or I didn't practice this particular move, so I can't do it, or it's not gonna work. I'm gonna lift you up a little bit. You're getting a weird angle. There we go. Much better. But go back, always go back to the basics. Number 1, point the thumb at the threat. It's gonna put your hands in this position. The other thing that's gonna happen is that length of your staff is going to be right in their face. You're gonna have to look around the staff in order to hit you, which is why it's so funny in that movie when they're in Wakanda and Arsenio Hall's doing that really bad. You know, he's an actor, so we're not gonna hold him. He's not like a martial artist like you'd get in a traditional martial arts movie. But he's doing this really bad overhand spin. And if he were really to spin like that in real life, in self-defense situation, it wouldn't work out. And so you have to understand, why do you spin? And the reason that you spin is it makes your hands stronger. It practices timing and distance, conditions the body, gives you great wrist strength and stability for all your blocks and strikes. So you have to understand why to do it. So you do it in practice, but you wouldn't do it in a fight. So he's fighting Eddie Murphy. And like I said before, Eddie Murphy's just standing there like this. His hands are like this. If you watch the movie, every time Arsenio Hall comes in to fight, he's in this grip, which is very much Chinese style, right? Fighting with it this way. Eddie Murphy's always like this, which is more of the Japanese style. And so from here, it's just very quick, fast, right? Fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want you to fight. I want you to adopt for self-defense. Adopt that quickness, that explosiveness, that speed from this hand position for self-defense. So for review, you put the stick between you and the threat. You point the thumb, you create the distance, make them get around that, interrupt their line of sight. They're not going to punch your stick. They're not going to try to stab your stick with their knife. They're trying to get to you. Make them get around that. And as they're coming in, hit them with it, right? Hit them with the backside, over the top, through the middle. Sweep out the legs, break the legs for self-defense. It's your right to defend yourself. Now let's talk about the shorter staff. And that's all I'm going to show you on this one for right now. We've got a million moves. I've got literally over 500 now bow staff videos on this channel with lots of different techniques. So if you don't see a technique you want to learn, go look at the other ones. Or better yet, send me an email, pasquinelli@hotmail.com. Go to my website, pasquinelli.com. Contact me through the contact box and let me know what you want to work on. I'll find a way to get it to you. From here, oh yeah, and I don't really charge. All these classes are always free. Speed. Adrish, you always want to go fast when there's more than one attacker. Now let's talk about the shorter staff, the Joe, in this case the Japanese Joe, or get yourself a dowel rod from a hardware store. Or this is the size when he unscrewed. Eddie Murphy reaches down, Samuel L. Jackson busts into the McDonald's, and he's getting ready. He's robbing the place. He's yelling, screaming, threatening everybody, innocent women and children. Eddie Murphy never loses his cool. Prince Akeem stays Prince Akeem. And he reaches down, he just unscrews it, and he walks up and he says, "Hey, my friend," or something like that. "Do you have a problem? How can I help you? How can I help you with your problem?" And he's probably genuine. You're like, "Let me help you first." But then when he sees there's no help for the guy, bam! He brings that stick up from this position, right up, smashes the gun out of his hand. It's a movie, guys. It's a movie. So don't try this in real life. Smashes it, then he comes around and whoom! Sweeps the legs right out from under his feet. Guy falls on his back, pops out his knife, and then Arsenio Hall picks up, tells him, "You might want to think again." Although he should have let him get up, and we showed Eddie Murphy how to handle that knife attacker, right? Let's talk about multiple attacks. Multiple attacks. Multiple attackers with your weapon. On the Joe, you're not going to always carry it like this. You can, and you can also point your thumb, and you can thrust, strike, backhand strike, over the top, sweep the legs. They all work the same way as they do with the longer staff. I also like it in the backhand, bringing it up, striking this way, striking across, sweeping out those legs, and then sliding from here. So I push that down a little bit, bringing that through. You do spin on these with the shorter stuff. You do spin and some strikes, bringing it through that way, and then you can change hand grips. I always do that backward. But that's the basic idea. The other thing is you can carry it like this. This is very traditional with the Joe. And then bring your hand up here, or bring your hand here. Two different grip positions, or here. Both of them are very effective. From here, striking, striking, thrusting. From here, striking, striking, thrusting. Blocking, right? If you had to block. I always say move first, move fast, step out of the way, strike while you're moving by. Don't practice the blocks. Practice them, learn how to do them, but learn how to hit them first, strike first. All right, I will see everybody later. Adrish, I'll see you later. Thanks so much for watching. Go see that movie. If you haven't, Google it now. Watch the Unhappy Meal scene from Coming to America. Eddie Murphy plays Prince Akeem, or Akeem. Arsenio Hall is behind the counter, and then you've got Samuel L. Jackson. And his best scene, I know the Tarantino movies were awesome too, right? But he's way better. He's way better as a bad guy coming into the McDonald's. So go watch that. Get ready for Coming to America 2. Let me know what you think about those movies. And I like doing these. I like talking about how did they use this technique? How did they fight with the nunchucks? How did Bruce Lee, Mighty Guy from Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, you want to learn those techniques? Just for fun, right? It's almost Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's Christmas Eve. Or maybe it's Christmas where you are, but Merry Christmas. Have a safe holiday season if you don't celebrate Christmas. I hope it's wonderful anyway, right? You don't have to celebrate it, but Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see each other before then, before the new year. Stay safe, stay independent, stay strong, stay fierce, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Thanks, Adrish. We'll see you later.